She faced mockery during a Jiu-Jitsu session, labeled as feeble by the condescending coach. The black, belted instructor grinned as he dared her to grapple. No one anticipated the outcome. In a mere 14 seconds, she forced him to submit. Yet, this unassuming woman harbored a secret that would soon transform everything. Rebecca Morgan tightened her brown belt in the parking lot, inhaling deeply as she gazed at the polished glass exterior of Elite Combat Academy. The fall sunlight bounced off the windows, briefly dazzling her. At 38, with her auburn hair tied back in a simple ponytail, she didn't resemble the typical martial artist stereotype. "This is for you, Grandpa," she murmured, brushing her fingers against the faded fabric of her belt, deliberately chosen for today while her black belt remained hidden at home. 3 months earlier, Rebecca had vowed to her dying grandfather, who introduced her to Jiu-Jitsu at age 6 to help reform the toxic culture seeping into the sport they cherished. For 3 decades, Master James Morgan had coached her in their family's private dojo, far from competitive arenas, ultimately granting her a black belt known to few. "The essence of Jiu-Jitsu is fading," he told her, his frail hand clasping hers with unexpected vigor. "It's turning into a display of arrogance, not progress. Promise me you'll restore its true spirit." Today marked the first step toward honoring that vow. After hearing numerous accounts of Elite Combat Academy's biased environment, particularly toward women, Rebecca devised a straightforward experiment. She would pose as a newcomer to the area, claiming brown belt status, and record how she was treated. She'd researched thoroughly. The head coach, Gabriel Torres, was known for forging champions through what he dubbed rigorous filtering. His social media showcased videos of intense sparring, often veering into intimidation. As she grabbed her gym bag from the car's front seat, Rebecca's phone vibrated. A message from her best friend, Sarah, camera set in the locker room. "Best of luck." Sarah, already inside acting as a regular member, would discreetly film whatever unfolded. Their goal wasn't public humiliation. The footage was for a presentation Rebecca was crafting on inclusivity in martial arts. With a final glance at her grandfather's photo tucked in her wallet, Rebecca straightened her posture and strode toward the entrance. Her pulse stayed calm, a testament to years of disciplined training. "Focus," she reminded herself. "This isn't about victory or proving a point. It's about revealing the truth." Pulling open the heavy glass door, she was greeted by the thud of bodies on mats and the familiar scent of athletic tape and perspiration. At the front desk, a burly young man barely looked up from his phone. "I'm here for the advanced session," Rebecca stated, her tone assured yet modest. The test had begun. The desk attendant gave Rebecca a quick, skeptical glance. "Advanced class is for brown and black belts only," he said, eyeing her worn jaw and unpretentious appearance. "I'm a brown belt," Rebecca responded calmly, pointing to her belt. "Trained for about 15 years. He arched an eyebrow but gestured to a clipboard. "Sign the waiver. Locker rooms are that way. Class starts in 10 minutes. Rebecca signed using her mother's maiden name, Rebecca Collins, to preserve her anonymity. As she headed to the women's locker room, she noted the facility's top-tier setup tournament, grade mats, strength, equipment, and walls lined with trophies and champion photos. In the locker room, Sarah, pretending to be a stranger, focused on tying her blonde hair while whispering, "Torres just got here. He's in top form," already sidelined 2 guys for not being intense enough in the intermediate class. Rebecca changed swiftly, securing her brown belt and removing all jewelry except a plain, wooden bracelet, a gift from her grandfather when she earned her black belt. She noticed other women preparing, all visibly athletic and wearing determined expressions. A tall woman with a purple belt approached. "New here. I'm Dana." Rebecca just moved to town. "Wanted to explore the local scene?" Rebecca replied. Dina's smile was guarded. Fair warning. Torres doesn't think highly of women above blue belt unless they've won national titles. Says we lack innate aggression. Be ready. Appreciate the tip, Rebecca said, keeping her face neutral despite a flicker of irritation. As she stepped onto the mats, the room's energy shifted subtly. The dozen or so advanced students, mostly men, regarded her with looks ranging from curiosity to disregard. A tall, muscular man with a scarred face stood at the mat's center, his black belt neatly tied. Gabriel Torres, in his early 40s, exuded the assurance of someone used to being in charge. He paused mid-sentence as Rebecca bowed before entering the mat, a traditional gesture of respect many students had abandoned. "What's this?" Torres said loudly, ensuring all could hear. "Woman's self-defense is on Thursdays, darling." A few students snickered. Rebecca stayed composed, bowing formally. "I'm here for the advanced class. Brown belt, 15 years of training." Torres's grin widened, his eyes sharp and calculating. "Really? Well, let's see what you're made of." "Line up by rank!" he commanded, and the students hurried into place. Rebecca stood among the other brown belts, all men, each significantly heavier than her. Sarah, positioned in a corner with her phone subtly aimed at the mat, briefly met Rebecca's gaze. The camera was rolling. "We're drilling triangle escapes today," Torres declared, scanning the group. His gaze settled on Rebecca deliberately. "Our new guest can assist me." Rebecca stepped forward, her expression neutral. This was typical, using new students for demonstrations, but Torres's gleam suggested ulterior motives. "So, you say you've got 15 years of experience?" Torres said, facing her on the mat. "Where'd you train?" "Morgan Jiu-Jitsu Academy," she answered truthfully, referring to her grandfather's home dojo. Torres frowned. "Never heard of it. Any competition wins?" "None," Rebecca admitted. "My mentor focused on Jiu-Jitsu for personal growth, not trophies." A few chuckles spread through the class. Torres didn't hide his scorn. "Oh, a soul-searching type. This academy builds winners, not dreamers." Without warning, he lunged for a takedown. Though she could have countered easily, Rebecca let herself be taken down, maintaining her disguise while showing solid defense. "See that?" Torres said to the class, securing side control. A true brown belt would have sprawled correctly. "This is what you get from backyard dojos." The jab at her grandfather's teaching stung, but Rebecca stayed focused on her mission. She executed a precise escape, effective but not showy, enough to earn respect from an impartial coach. Torres, unimpressed, muttered, "Lucky break." Then louder, "Let's try something else." For the next 10 minutes, he escalated the demonstration's intensity and complexity. Rebecca calibrated her responses, displaying enough skill to validate her brown belt while concealing her full abilities. "Honestly," Torres said, standing and addressing the class while Rebecca remained on the mat, "this is what's ruining Jiu-Jitsu. People wearing belts they don't deserve." He offered her a hand, pulling harder than needed, causing a slight stumble. "Too frail," he said loudly. "Woman, like you belong in yoga classes." Rebecca's eyes flickered briefly before she regained her calm demeanor. The test was unfolding as expected, confirming her grandfather's fears with every moment. After the demo, Torres assigned drilling partners. Predictably, Rebecca was paired with Keith, a burly brown belt who outweighed her by at least 70 pounds. "Don't worry," Keith said with a smirk. "I'll take it easy." During the triangle escape drill, Rebecca noticed Torres lingering nearby, scrutinizing her. "More force, Keith," Torres directed. "She needs to feel a real triangle." Keith applied excessive pressure, beyond what was needed for practice. Rebecca adjusted smoothly, using technique to mitigate the intensity while appearing to struggle convincingly. "Your defense is off," Torres interrupted, kneeling beside them. "Here, let me fix it." He adjusted her arms in a way that weakened the technique, a test Rebecca recognized instantly, either sabotage or ignorance. "Thank you, sir," she said, masking her insight with feigned appreciation. She caught Sarah's eye, knowing the exchange was being recorded. Halfway through class, Torres clapped for attention. "Let's spice things up. Round, robin sparring, 30-second rounds, winner stays on." This was unusual for a technique session, but the students seemed used to Torres's erratic methods. They formed a circle, excitement rising. "Collins!" Torres pointed at Rebecca. "You're first against me." The room hushed. It was rare for an instructor to spar a new student in such a high-pressure setting. "Unless you're not up for it," he added, his tone taunting. Rebecca stepped onto the mat, bowing respectfully despite the unfair challenge. "I'm ready to train, sir." Torres didn't return the bow. "Start standing. Show us what you've got." They circled, Torres moving with the ease of someone expecting an easy win. Rebecca maintained proper posture, observing his movements. "Attack me," he taunted. "Come on, brown belt, show us your 15 years. When she attempted a clean single leg takedown, Torres countered with excessive force, slamming her to the mat harder than necessary. "Too weak," he announced, now controlling her from the top. "This is why women shouldn't get high belts. They lack the physicality for real Jiu-Jitsu." As he shifted to a Kimura grip, pressing on her shoulder, a dangerous glint appeared in his eyes. He was pushing too hard, too fast, assuming she couldn't defend herself. Rebecca faced a choice. She felt Torres twisting the Kimura with dangerous force, the kind that could ruin shoulders and end careers. A memory flashed, her grandfather teaching her this submission at 12, stressing control and respect for partners. Jiu-Jitsu uses leverage to overcome power, Master Morgan said. But that power demands responsibility. Never use it to harm or belittle. Torres was doing exactly what her grandfather cautioned against, wielding technique for ego rather than growth. She sensed the students watching, some uneasy with Torres's intent to injure, others relishing the show. Through her peripheral vision, she saw Sarah adjust her position, ensuring a clear shot. The evidence was being captured, but at what risk? Continuing her act could lead to injury. "Tap!" Torres growled, cranking harder. "Unless you're too stubborn." In that instant, Rebecca decided enough was enough. While preserving her cover mattered, protecting herself and upholding Jiu-Jitsu's true values mattered more. With a subtle hip shift, she eased the pressure on her shoulder. Torres, sensing her movement, leaned forward, just as she predicted. "You're making it worse," he grunted. Rebecca closed her eyes briefly, grounding herself. "I'm sorry, Grandpa," she thought. This wasn't the plan, but sometimes a lesson must be taught. In one seamless motion, she executed a unique escape her grandfather created, known only to his students. Caught off guard, Torres lost his balance momentarily. That was all she needed. She transitioned to offense, securing his arm in a flawless armbar. Before he could react, her legs locked across his chest, his arm extended, her hips raised for perfect leverage. Torres's eyes widened in shock, his confidence replaced by confusion and faint panic. He hadn't expected this from someone he'd dismissed. "What the?" he began, but Rebecca adjusted slightly, applying just enough pressure to make her point without harm. The class fell silent, stunned as their invincible instructor was trapped by the woman he'd mocked. The moment of truth had come. Time seemed to stretch as Rebecca held the armbar. The gym was quiet except for Torres's quickening breaths and the faint hum of the air conditioning. 1 second. Torres's shock turned to frantic resistance, using raw strength to try freeing his arm. 2, 3, 4 seconds. Rebecca adjusted with precision, countering his power with technique, the core of Jiu-Jitsu. 5 seconds. "Let go." Torres muttered, panic creeping into his voice, too quiet for most to hear. 6, 7. She could have forced a tap, but that wasn't her grandfather's way, who valued giving opponents a chance to concede with dignity. 8 seconds. Torres' struggles grew sloppy, less technical. He twisted, trying to roll free, but Rebecca adjusted perfectly, maintaining control. 9, 10. Murmurs spread among the students, their faces showing awe and respect. Dina, from the locker room, had a faint smile. 11 seconds. Tap, Rebecca said calmly, adding slight pressure to signal her control without harm. It's okay to tap. 12. Torres' face reddened from effort and bruised pride, his eyes scanning his students witnessing his defeat. 13. With a final, futile effort, he exhaled sharply, accepting his position. 14. His palms slapped the mat, the universal surrender signal echoing in the silent gym. Rebecca released immediately, rolling back to a kneeling position and bowing respectfully. "Thank you for the opportunity to train," she said formally, offering a hand. Torres ignored it, standing and straightening his disheveled gi, his face a mix of humiliation, anger, confusion, and a hint of respect. "Lucky move," he muttered, though no one bought it. Rebecca stayed kneeling, upholding etiquette despite his lapse. The class stood frozen, unsure how to react to their instructor's swift defeat. 14 seconds had upended Torres' carefully built empire. The gym stayed hushed for a moment before whispers broke out. Rebecca stood, maintaining her poise, as Torres walked to the mat's edge, adjusting his belt with sharp, frustrated motions. "That was unreal," Keith said, his earlier smugness replaced by genuine awe. "Where'd you learn that transition?" Before she could respond, Torres cut in, his pride stung but his authority returning. "It was a fluke. Back to drills, everyone. Collins, take a break. You seem winded." The dismissal was obvious, an attempt to downplay the event. Rebecca bowed and stepped off the mat. As she reached for her water bottle, she noticed students watching her with fresh curiosity. Sarah approached, phone now hidden, playing her role. "That was incredible. I've never seen anyone submit him." "Underestimated me," Rebecca said simply. "It happens." "That wasn't just brown belt skill," Dana interjected, joining them with a mix of suspicion and admiration. "That was elite, competition-level stuff." Rebecca sipped her water carefully. "My grandfather taught me some unique twists on classic techniques." From across the room, Torres called the class to order, his voice tenser than before. "Pair up for situational spell sparring. Collins, since you're so bold today, work with Jason." He pointed to a young black belt, clearly a favorite, featured in many competition photos on the walls. "Hayes setting you up?" Dana whispered. "Jason was a national champ last year." Rebecca nodded. "It's fine." As she approached Jason, she saw hesitation in his eyes, adjusting his expectations after her performance. "Start from closed guard," Torres ordered. "Jason on top. Go." What followed was a masterclass in technique. Instead of dominating, Rebecca showcased impeccable defense, countering Jason's attacks with precise, efficient moves reflecting decades of training. After 5 minutes, Torres clapped sharply. "Nuff. Water break." He approached Rebecca, eyes narrowed. "Who are you, really?" he asked quietly. "No brown belt moves like that. What's your angle?" Rebecca met his gaze steadily. "I trained with Master James Morgan, as I said." Torres's eyes widened with recognition. "Morgan? The James Morgan?" She nodded. "His granddaughter, Rebecca Morgan." The revelation shifted the gym's atmosphere instantly. Though not a household name in mainstream Jiu-Jitsu, James Morgan was a legend among dedicated practitioners, one of the first Americans to earn a black belt in Brazil in the 1960s, known for his technical innovations and principled approach. Morgan refused to commercialize his art, Torres said, his tone now tinged with respect. Turned down millions to keep it pure. He believed Jiu-Jitsu was for growth, not profit. Rebecca replied evenly. Torres studied her anew. "So the brown belt was a choice today." I got my black belt 15 years ago. Whispers rippled through the nearby students. Sarah, still filming discreetly, captured the moment. Why come here like this? Torres asked, his earlier hostility giving way to curiosity. Rebecca took a deep breath. This was her grandfather's moment. He passed 3 months ago, she said. Her voice steady despite the emotion. His dying wish was for me to protect Jiu-Jitsu's true meanings, respect, technical mastery, and using strength to uplift, not oppress. She gestured around the gym. He heard about places like this, where newcomers are hazed, women are dismissed as lesser, and the focus is on breaking people rather than building them. Torres's jaw tensed, defensive but listening. Why create champions here? At what price? Rebecca countered. How many potential masters have you pushed away? How many women have you discouraged? How many could have found healing through Jiu-Jitsu but found trauma instead? Her words hung heavily, with some students nodding, their own experiences echoing her point. I came to document the issue. Rebecca continued, not to shame anyone. This test, posing as a brown belt, was to see how newcomers are treated. She turned to the class. Jiu-Jitsu gave me confidence after a tough childhood. It showed me strength I didn't know I had. Everyone deserves that chance, not just those who fit a certain image. Torres stood silent, his pride softening into reflection. Your grandfather, he said quietly, inspired me to start Jiu-Jitsu. I saw a video of him as a teen, so efficient, so composed. Rebecca saw a glimpse of vulnerability in him. I think, he added softly, we have much to discuss. 6 months later, Rebecca stepped through the glass doors of the renamed Morgan Elite Jiu-Jitsu, smiling at the changes. The walls, once showcasing only trophies, now featured her grandfather's principles: respect, humility, technical excellence, community. Torres, after training with Rebecca for a week post-encounter, had embraced returning to the art's roots. His technical prowess was never in doubt, only his teaching needed adjustment. Morning, Professor Morgan called a teenage girl drilling in the corner, one of many women who joined after the academy's culture shift. Rebecca waved, setting down her bag and greeting Sarah, now a staff member documenting the academy's transformation for a series on positive martial arts communities. Torres emerged from his office, his once aggressive demeanor now a confident calm. Ready for the seminar? He asked, nodding toward visiting instructors gathering for Rebecca's workshop on inclusive coaching. Always, she replied, adjusting her black belt, now proudly displaying her grandfather's name alongside hers. As the group settled on the mat, Rebecca glimpsed her grandfather's photo by the entrance. She could almost hear his voice. The true victory in Jiu-Jitsu isn't defeating others, it's helping them grow. She took her place at the front, bowing deeply. The real work was just starting. If this story moved you, remember that true strength lies in uplifting others, not dominating them. Every day, we can challenge bias and foster inclusive communities. Have you seen someone underestimated because of how they look? Share your story below. Subscribe for more tales that remind us to see beyond appearances and treat everyone with respect. Where are you watching from today? Like Rebecca learned, sometimes the greatest power is staying true to our principles, even when others don't yet understand.